So this is Lara Chorostecki. You will see her very soon on the new TV series Hannibal. Hello.
Hello.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How did you first get involved in this series? It's a bit of a departure from some of your more recent work.
Yeah. I've recently done a lot more period stuff, but I kind of got into this just the traditional way. They are shooting here in Toronto, which has been so lovely to be shooting in my own backyard, and so went in for auditions and worked with David Slade, who directed our pilot and our finale and another episode in the middle. And he really put me through the ringer to kind of push and prod, because Freddie occasionally has to be a bit of a chameleon, and we were figuring out together with Brian kind of what direction that they were going to take her in. So yeah, traditional audition setting, really exciting though.
Yes, they set up your character as kind of the slightly slimy tabloid journalist.
Yeah.
But toward the end of your first episode, I see a bit of a change. Will we, without giving anything away, will we see kind of a change play out?
Well, I mean, I think there's really interesting interactions throughout the entirety of the first season, where you see all the psychological aspects of each of the individual characters kind of fleshed out and how they interact with each other. Freddie's a really strong woman. She's fearless. She doesn't let a lot show, and I think her primary objective at all times is, what can I get from you? But yeah, you'll see various aspects of her, and I'm sure eventually even more as the series progresses.
There's one scene that really stood out for me, which was the one when you visit Dr. Lecter.
Yeah, it's a great scene.
I was so nervous watching it. Just tell me a little bit about, getting into that scene, and is Mads Mikkelsen as imposing in person when he's in character as he comes across on screen?
Absolutely, when he's in character. I will say when he's out of character, he's the most unassuming, humble man and lovely gentleman you'll ever meet, and you'll have an instant crush on him if you meet him. But when he's in character, absolutely. I remember, playing around with that scene and getting to the point where he kind of asks something of me, and he asked me to give him something, and it's an instant reaction. I remember playing the scene, I had this instant reaction of, yes, of course I'll do what you want. Because he sees through everyone, it feels like. I mean, he's a psychiatrist by trade as it is, and then, of course, as all the audience knows, a serial killer as well. And there's something magnetic about him that kind of just makes you implicitly trust and listen and obey.
Okay.
And that's certainly what I felt playing that scene.
How much did you know about the whole Hannibal story going into this? Like in terms of the previous films or the books?
I did. I haven't read the books. I've read excerpts of the books since starting this series, but I didn't read all of them, because Freddie, of course, in the books is a man, and for our purposes, Brian had changed her. Not kind of the core of her, but quite a bit from the novels. So I read little excerpts and did some other research that I thought was helpful. But I had seen and was a fan of Manhunter, Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, all the bunch, and Freddie appears in Manhunter and Red Dragon, and so I did know those incarnations of it, and quite admired Philip Seymour Hoffman in that role. He made what is a relatively small role in that film into something really memorable, of course, and fans of that will know there's a heck of a memorable scene in that movie that occurs with Freddie. So I did kind of know about that and was a fan. So it was certainly exciting then to get on board with Brian's vision and what he has changed around and tweaked and explored.
When you first hear that you're going to be in a Brian Fuller series, you tend to think, Pushing Daisies or Dead Like Me, and then you see the Hannibal script.
But do you not think, when I think Pushing Daisies or Dead Like Me, he's always had this bit of fascination with death.
He's always made it kind of whimsical and not a bad thing.
Yes, that is true, but I still think fans of the Brian Fuller kind of universe will be really pleased with this show, because I do think Brian has still put his stamp on it in a really good way. I think it's some of his best work, and in the kind of visual aspect of the show and the way the DOP and the various directors that we've had in have shot it, mixed with Brian's creative and the writers, it's really turned into something that has these elements of it that are fantastical still. And I think almost give us an easier way of handling the gore and an easier way of handling those really dark things by using imagination, basically. And Brian's really accessed that imagination through this.
Yeah,
so it's really exciting.
It's right on the border of they're getting away with this on network television.
Yes,
and
it is,
how are they doing it?
Yeah, I know. Brian said that NBC has been fantastic with what they have allowed and what they haven't, and it really is on the edge of it. But I think nowadays, cable shows are really going into that territory, so we kind of need to raise the bar and meet it on our local networks, and I think that's what we're doing here, and I'm really excited that that's being allowed. If
you could just tease a little bit of what's in store for your character in the upcoming episodes. I mean, this just has barely scratched the surface in the second episode of the series. What can you tease about her and what we're going to learn about her?
Oh, well, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, fans of the mythology kind of know where the storyline goes there. And Brian did give me permission to say that is his plan, is to follow the storyline of Red Dragon eventually, but that's not planned until season 4 at the moment. Things always change, who knows what's going to happen. But so those people will kind of know eventually where Freddie's trajectory goes. And in the meantime, I mean, who knows? We'll see. Right now, she, throughout this season, she gets involved in kind of the main storyline. And you'll see her, causing trouble as she does and doing everything she's got to do to get her story. And I think everyone will just enjoy this series in general. It's such an interesting character exploration and I think very exciting.